Hello and welcome to this profile of box hedges as bonsai. Box hedge or boxwood are a conveniently available plant if you live in an area undergoing major redesign. It was once a common garden plant in many regions, and after many years they have grown substantial trunks and branch structure. This is one way to get free, or at least well-developed, box hedge. Some species planted in the 17th century and cut low to the ground are still alive today. The box hedge comes in 5 major cultivars. These are the common or English box. This is the traditional garden hedge. Its advantages are how common it is, a long life, and lower maintenance requirements. Disadvantages include the very slow growth at 30 to 40 centimeters every 3 years. It is shade and frost resilient, but grows up to 2 meters in height. Variegated English box. The variegated box hedge is similar in most respects to the common box, but with a patterned leaf. It will grow to 1 meter. The Dutch or dwarf box. The Dutch box is like the common box, but with a tighter canopy, smaller, rounder leaves, and lighter color. It will grow to 0.75 meters. The Japanese box. This is like the common and Dutch box, but has faster growth and denser foliage. It will tolerate heat better than other species and grows to 1 meter. And finally, the Korean box. This box naturally grows lower and wider than the other species. The leaves are smaller, glossy, and soft compared to them. When in full sun, the leaves will turn yellow. It will only grow 30 centimeters in 3 years, and only grow up to 0.4 meters in height. Overall, the 5 species can be treated with similar methods and care when used as a bonsai. All of the species have a beige-like bark and vary from the rough to an almost sleek appearance. When training a box as a bonsai, it is easiest and generally best practice to procure plants that have been in a garden for some years, as they will be better stock. If that is not possible, then seedlings are held by most reputable nurseries and garden stores, and these can be readily trained as bonsai. The box is well suited to being a bonsai given its tree-like appearance and an adaptation to being kept in a pot. When placing your tree, both for display and storage, the box will cope with full sun to part shade. The soil needs to be free draining with an ideal pH for boxes between 7 and 8. The best time to plant is in early to mid-autumn, when your soil is still warm, but the plant does not require as much water. This encourages root growth right before winter. The box will tend to grow upwards initially. After several years, the plant will begin to branch out laterally. If growing from seedlings, you do not want to trim the tree until it reaches your desired height. The average box will put more energy into growth of the trunk if you do this, but it will invest more energy into upwards branches if you cut it back. If you leave the tree be, it will grow more horizontal branches sooner. This will lead to better trunk development in the long term. When pruning the box, you should do any work in late winter. The box will also accept tip pruning very well, and readily ramifies in spring and summer, but this can create a problem underneath the canopy in the long term. After several years of being cut back, the surface can become crowded, especially on the top of the tree, where you are attempting to maintain the silhouette. This will reduce ventilation around the shoots, and so it becomes a good idea to thin out some of the growing shoots every few years. Do this by cutting some of the main stems. Cut them between 10 and 15 centimeters below the silhouette, or a suitable distance back, depending on the size of your tree. As with most bonsai, trim back to one pair of leaf buds. These are in close to the trunk and often found between the leaf stem and trunk or branch. They look very much like flower buds. Try to thin out the canopy of your box every year to encourage light penetration to the interior of the plant. Doing so will cause inner leaf budding and ramification back along the branches. Boxes are not defoliated like other trees. You can complete partial defoliation or cut the leaves in half to reduce leaf size as new buds swell through the growing season, but most species do not require defoliating. The box has a natural tendency to match leaf size to the plant regardless, which makes it largely unnecessary. It should be noted that large wounds in older plants or parts of the tree are very slow to heal. Wiring of a box is generally similar to most other species. You should note that the branches are often quite difficult to shift once they have hardened. You are best wiring new soft growth. When the box is wired, you must take care not to damage the delicate beige bark. This will leave marks that do not heal very well and will be there for a long time. Wire new shoots very loosely and check them often. Bending branches with wire can be done, but it takes a long time and is best done with raffia and heavy gauge wire or a branch bender. Once your box is established, it requires less water and reasonably temperate tap water is acceptable. Water daily in summer, but almost not at all in winter to avoid root rot. Use solid fertilizer every month or a liquid fertilizer every other week during the growing season. Use a root-promoting product alternatively to the fertilizer every week during the growing season. A good box is long-lived and relatively disease-free. Any sign of insect or fungus should be treated quickly, as the compact form can lead to it spreading quickly through the plant. The most common problem is fungus, with box blight and Phytophthora root rot as prime examples. You can use standard antifungal sprays or systemic treatments with most species of box. In Europe, the box moth is a common problem at present. You can take these by hand or use white oil. Repotting is done every 2 to 5 years, with preference given to longer time frames. This depends on its age and size, with older plants requiring less frequent repotting. Boxes tolerate root pruning very well. Box is a common beginner tree as it resembles a true tree, but it is slow growing. It is not the most beginner-friendly specimen, as the branches can be very brittle, and it is not as forgiving of mistakes when compared to others. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found the information useful, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions below.